Nothing is bringing me more joy lately in this holiday season than the fracturing of the MAGA movement. Donald Trump is trying desperately to keep his grip on MAGA. He's also trying to keep his grip on reality, which is obviously quickly slipping away from him. But there are more and more fractures coming every single day. And the latest is just a death blow to Donald Trump with another Republican announcing today that they are quitting on him. It is a bombshell that we're gonna get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way and supporting our work. Now, before we get into this latest bombshell on Donald Trump, I want to start with some of the reporting surrounding all of the tensions within MAGA and who might be next and why that might be the end for Mike Johnson too.
Not even the high profile, the regular rank and file, random members are more upset than ever. Members know they are going into the minority after the midterms. More explosive early resignations are coming. It's a tinderbox. Morale has never been lower. Mike Johnson will be stripped of his gavel, and they will lose the majority before this term is out. That's not a reporter summarizing what the reporter has found. That is a senior House Republican putting it in writing, in a text, saying members know they are going into the minority after the midterms. It's a tinderbox. Morale has never been lower. Mike Johnson will be stripped of his gavel. In other words, the senior House Republican who wrote that is a rational politician who can see that insane policies that hurt voters will hurt the party supporting those policies. You do bad things in government and you lose elections. And what that senior House Republican is saying is that virtually all House Republicans know this. The senior members, the junior members. And that's why it's a tinderbox. What they need to turn the tinderbox into a functioning congressional party is for a calming, steady leader to guide them. And they're stuck with Donald Trump. And so they know it's hopeless. And what is Donald Trump's relentlessly incompetent White House staff trying to do? They're trying to guide Donald Trump and the Republicans out of the tinderbox to political safety by simply having them completely reverse themselves on health care and embrace Obamacare. The New York Times reports President Trump, who has repeatedly denounced the Affordable Care Act as a disaster, is considering backing an extension of insurance subsidies tied to the health law that are set to expire at the end of the year. According to a senior White House official, Mr. Trump has not made a final decision, the official said. The tinderbox must have loved that, right? It's a way out of their problems, right? Punchbowl News reports that the Trump healthcare proposal was supposed to be rolled out yesterday.
I think I'm just gonna do this whole video with a big old smile on my face, but it might be difficult to get through it all. But this is just so beautiful. And I think the resignations tell a broader story of what Republicans in Congress are focused on. Not of just, of course, the Marjorie Taylor Greene one, but resignations to come. We're actually going to be talking about that in just a second. But I want to say that I think it is important how much more focused Republicans are on the general election, on the midterms, than they are their individual primaries. They no longer think that Donald Trump wants to get involved or can get involved in their primary and really shake things up. But what is so damaging to Donald Trump is they don't think that he wants to waste political capital on that it's not worth it anymore for him to try to put his thumb on the scale and dictate who's out, who's in, who's up, who's down. He's not going to try to launch these primaries in the same way that in this past election in New Jersey and Virginia. You did not see Donald Trump endorse the gubernatorial candidates. Why? Because he knew they were losers. So what does it tell you if Donald Trump doesn't want to get directly involved in a Republican primary ahead of these midterms? He knows he's going to be a loser. Donald Trump's grip on the GOP has loosened more and more every single day. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is out there essentially making a mockery of Donald Trump. saying that he doesn't have the power that he used to and that she is the real face of the MAGA movement. Of course, in my opinion, that's the reason she decided to resign. It wasn't some principled stance, but we're seeing lots of other Republicans try to get out early, whether it be for greater political aspirations or a fear that they're going to be humiliated, which is the latest bombshell that we're getting with this announcement. Republican U.S. Representative Mike Knowles says he won't seek re-election. Republican Representative Troy Knowles announced on Saturday that he would not seek re-election for another term in Congress. I have made the decision after conversations with my beautiful bride and my girls over the Thanksgiving holiday to focus on my family and return home after this Congress, Knowles said in a statement. Knowles, 57, who represents a Texas district in the House of Representatives, said he spoke to Donald Trump before making the decision. Knowles was first elected in 2020. Another Republican falls in a close Trump ally, which I think is important. And I think it's especially important that this comes in Texas, where so much of the map right now, if Donald Trump and Greg Abbott's gerrymandering goes through, will be drawing seats in a way that previously Republicans, when they initially drew the maps, and again, this was months ago. I know it feels like kind of just yesterday. It also feels like 10 years ago at the same time. But when they drew up these maps, they were thinking that, well, of course, Donald Trump is unpopular. It's not going to get that much worse, right? They always thought that Donald Trump would kind of float around that 43.4 to maybe 44 in the high-end approval rating. That's not the case. Donald Trump in the latest polls is sitting at 36.35. Maybe we've seen 34% approval. Republicans' disapproval of Trump is rising right now. And so when they drew these maps, they drew the districts so that Republicans would have a great chance, right? It wasn't an all but guarantee. It wasn't an R plus 30 and R plus 4. A guaranteed win for Republicans. It was a little closer. Maybe it would have voted 6%, 7, 8% for Trump back in 2024. That's no longer the case. Of course, we've seen these massive shifts in the last elections that we just had earlier this month. And I think Donald Trump, I think Greg Abbott, I think Republicans in Texas are understanding that those seats that they drew, the competitive ones that were, of course, giving Republicans a huge leg up, might be ones that shift to Democrats. So if you're Troy Knowles, why? Why are you sticking around to get beaten, to get humiliated? Why would you want to do that? Maybe if you have broader political aspirations, or maybe you're just tired of Donald Trump again, what this represents. Republicans not wanting to run for re-election, Republicans threatening resignation, is that Donald Trump's stranglehold over MAGA has been significantly loosened. Because if Donald Trump was really, this was his best buddy who he would demand. This is a loyalist to Trump. He said, just run again, right? We need your incumbent status to help. Help us maybe win this seat. Maybe Trent Knowles is saying, I don't know about this. This is looking a little shaky for me. I don't want to go out there and lose. I don't want to go out there and get embarrassed. We'll throw someone else under the bus. We'll let them run in the seat. That is what I'm seeing right now from a lot of Republicans backing out and saying, I don't want to do this. This is about to be a bloodbath, and I do not want to get caught up in it. That is what's happening with MAGA right now. It is happening as Trump is flailing. It is happening as he has less control over his own party. And it is the reason he's freaking out over the gerrymander that they're trying to push forward in Indiana. That's just not coming to fruition. That he put a dagger in himself, using slurs, using the R word this weekend or this weekend. Gosh, it feels like it's been a year with all that Donald Trump has done on Thursday night, on Thanksgiving, of course. Then we saw yesterday a Republican in the state Senate say that because they had a child with special needs. And they felt that Donald Trump had insulted them, which, hey buddy, by the way, you're about a decade late on Donald Trump attacking people who are differently abled. I think maybe you should look back at the news what was happening during his first presidential campaign. But he said, he's a no, another no, when Donald Trump can barely get this gerrymandered through in Indiana. So he's losing steam. He recognizes that he's losing power with his own party. He recognizes that he's flailing right now. Donald Trump actually has his sights set on one race specifically. And if you haven't been keeping up with it, you really should, because it's coming down to the wire. And that is in Tennessee for Afton Bain, an incredible candidate. She is scaring the shit out of MAGA right now. J.D. Vance just did a campaign stop Donald Trump, a teletown hall. AOC is combating that, doing her own. But you gotta hear more from this candidate. She might be one of the biggest blows to Donald Trump and this shrinking majority in Congress. You're gonna need to take a look at this.
A lot of people seem surprised the race is this close. Are you surprised?
No, I mean, the only reason this race is competitive is because Tennesseans are feeling the pain of what's happening in Washington. Republicans and their billionaire friends are spending millions in a seat that they should be able to win without thinking. And if we flip this seat in an R+22 district, it sends a message that the Republicans need to get really serious about making healthcare more affordable.
I'm sure you've heard a lot about healthcare. When you've been talking with voters, what are the other issues that are rising to the surface?
We have a crisis of affordability in the state of Tennessee. We have the highest cost of groceries in the country. We have people, voters in the district that are driving 2 hours to access healthcare. Things are not okay. Things are really dire. And I think voters in the 7th Congressional District are looking for a candidate. And throughout this campaign, I've always said, I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what political party you belong to. But if you are upset about the cost of living and the chaos of Washington, then I'm your candidate.
Part of the big news, of course, the president and the Speaker of the House hosting a tele-rally for your opponent. Do you think that's good news or bad news for you?
I think it means they're desperate and fraught with the onslaught of attack ads against me. The only reason that they are putting out all the stops is because they don't have a plan to tackle the healthcare issue and the affordability crisis. And so I'm not surprised that they are calling in reinforcements, but I see their teletown hall and I raise them 10,000 doors that we're probably going to knock this weekend.
I want to hear what it is you're hearing from voters on the other side of those doors, because that is, you are correct, the real work. What does it tell you, though, that it's a tele-rally, that they couldn't get their butts to Tennessee?
I don't know. Perhaps they want to keep some distance between this incredibly unpopular candidate that they're running, who is my opposition. But like I said, I mean, we have knocked tens of thousands of doors in this campaign. I just left a middle of the day, get out the vote canvas with 40 people. The energy here is palpable and voters want change. And so my pitch has always been, if you want more of the status quo.
There is a real possibility right now that Republicans decide to resign en masse from Congress. And if we are able to pick up this seat, it makes it that much more dangerous. Because those resignations, whether it be over Pete Hegseth's war crimes, Donald Trump taking his talking points from Putin, the Epstein files, you name anything, those resignations, it gets a lot easier for that to be handing the gavel over to a potential speaker. Hakeem Jeffries, this is big. We need to be focusing on Tennessee. We're going to be on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on this video. If you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let him silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.